A very good evening and welcome. This is Primetime News at 9 here on TV1. I'm your host for tonight, Ramesh Irugal Bandar. As always, let's start off with a look at your headlines.
UN pledges fuller support for Sri Lanka's development process. Politicians trade accusations regarding tense situation at UNP Youth Activist meeting in Jayala. Dairy farmers protest in Pannala calling on law enforcement to apprehend cattle thieves. Sri Lankan-born Krishanti Vignaraja officially launches campaign for Governor of Maryland in the United States.
On to our top story tonight. UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres says the UN is ready to provide every possible assistance to Sri Lanka in its effort to build a prosperous nation where reconciliation is strengthened. Secretary-General Guterres made these remarks when he met President Maithripala Sirisena yesterday on the sidelines of the 72nd session of the United Nations General Assembly in New York.
UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres commended President Sirisena's commitment in adopting agreements set out in the Paris Convention and expressed his appreciation over implementing sustainable development goals in the development process of the country. President Maithripala Sirisena said the government is committed towards the initiatives taken for development and reconciliation, adding the assistance of all countries in the world are needed in this process. During the meeting, President Sirisena extended an invitation to the UN Secretary-General to visit Sri Lanka to observe the current progress in Sri Lanka in its journey of achieving the development targets and the reconciliation process.
UNP Jayala electorate organizer Joseph Michael Pereira spoke to the media today, seeking to elaborate on a tense situation that transpired at a meeting of the UNP Youth Front activists in Jayala yesterday.
The situation arose as former Minister Joseph Michael Pereira was not given an opportunity to address the gathering at this meeting. Speaking to the media today, Pereira had this to say. I was not invited to this meeting. There was no banner either. The faces featured were Ravi Karunanayake and John Amaratunga. Ravi Karunanayake had accepted responsibility for this, saying he had organized it. There was no disruption. If I wanted to disrupt it, I would have gone there in the morning. It is easy to lay an egg in a nest that has been built by someone else. This is the story. People like Ravi Karunanayake, whom the country and party are fed up with. People who are destroying the party are acting in this way, and the entire country is watching. I was in Parliament for 38 years. How can we go forward when people involved in the bond scam, people whom society have accepted as thieves, are put forward? When a battle was ongoing in the UNP to chase out the leader, Ravi Karunanayake was involved in it. The youth are hoping for jobs in the future. They are hoping for land and homes. This is not even being spoken of now. However, there are signs that even the land allocated to build homes for the poor will be sold off. No, I am not frustrated with the party. I will not allow space for thieves to cause frustration with the party. I am not saying anything about Ravi Karunanayake. There was an accusation against him which he accepted and he resigned from the ministry. I believe that it is far better for such a person to step aside at this moment rather than go before society and speak. When a man who has done wrong goes before people and asks them not to do wrong, no one will listen. I am a Catholic. This is what we have been taught.
The subject of this meeting was the establishment and empowerment of National Youth Front district activist committees. In the end, nothing happened there. There was no empowerment either. The event ended following former Minister Ravi Karunanayake's speech.
What happened here is that they sung praises of each other. This is what happened. We knew that the youth would receive nothing here. We had no space to speak. At most, there were about 20 or 30 youth there. The rest were all elderly. They were either above 50 or small children.
You do not need to bring Ravi Karunanayake to hold a youth conference. There are good young MPs from Gampaha. My question is, why is a person who has been discarded by the Colombo district being brought to Jayala? The 2002 government was also destroyed because of Ravi Karunanayake.
Meanwhile, a meeting of activists of the UNP Youth Front was held at the party headquarters, Sirikota, today. A group including the chairman of the UNP Youth Front, MP Kavinda Jayawardena, and MP Ravi Karunanayake were present.
වසරේ හොඳම දේශන වගේ නීතියක SLFP Expressway offshore ආදරේ පිළිගන්න ලබන අතර මාගේ
This is a youth front. Hand this over to them. No one can talk on behalf of a woman, can they? You are trying to create a media charade. No one is doing this forcefully. No one can stay in power forever. Not only did Ravi Karunanika destroy the United National Party, he also ruined the government. He ruined the country's economy, and now he has gone to destroy the Jayala electorate. The UNP is on the verge of imploding. People like Minister Rana Vikram Singh are on the verge of stepping out. The UNP faithful are fed up with the party.
Parliamentary procedure and judicial review. These are the topics that are dominating political discourse at present following the passage of the highly controversial Provincial Council Elections Amendment Act.
Now the parliamentary election will be held on a first-past-the-post system. An MP will be elected for each electorate, so everyone who was canvassing at the last election will have to look for new places. The UNPers cannot win this electorate. They will have an MP only if they work together with us. Now the vote will be cast for the individual. Ranil Vikram Singh has shown this to be true of all recent legislation. One version of the bill goes to the courts, one version is discussed in the courts. However, during the committee stage in Parliament, the content is broadened through amendments. The same will happen with the interim report of the steering committee of the Constituent Assembly. This will go to Cabinet and it will come to Parliament as the draft of the new constitution.
රනිල් වික්‍රමසිංහ මැතිතුමා ඉන්නවනේ අනේ පුංචි දරුවා දැන් ඒකේ අනිත් එක
Ranil Vikram Singh is like a small child. Now the Yahapalniya government led by Ranil Vikram Singh has changed the Supreme Court verdict claiming they have 159 votes and thereby a two-thirds majority. They use this lie to pass the Provincial Council's bill. When speaking about this, we realize that they are both the same.
වට්ටන එක විතරයි ජනතාවට බෝලේ බස්සන එක විතරයි
20වෙනි ආණ්ඩුක්‍රම ව්‍යවස්ථා සංශෝධනය හරහා
This government was hoping to postpone all the provincial council elections through the 20th amendment to the constitution. When the Supreme Court instructed that it must be passed with a two-thirds majority and a referendum, they amended the Provincial Council's Election Act in Parliament, and under the guise of increasing women's representation, they have postponed the provincial council elections once again.
මේක මේ සෑම පනතකදීම ආණ්ඩුව කරන්නේ නංගි පෙන්නලා අක්කා දීම නෙවෙයි නංගි පෙන්නලා ආච්චි දීම වගේ තත්වයක් කියන කාරණය අපි බොහොම පැහැදිලිව සඳහන් කරනවා.
ඒකාබද්ධ විපක්ෂය කිසිම
The joint opposition opposes everything without any reason. These amendments were discussed. They were in the committees when it was discussed. All the minor political parties were consulted and it was done without being unfair to anyone. The joint opposition is shouting about everything without thinking about the country or the people.
යනවා හිතන්නේ නැතුව හැම එකටම විරුද්ධව කෑ ගහනවා.
ඒ කියන්නේ පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේ එක පනතක් ඉදිරිපත් කරනවා.
One version of the bill is presented to Parliament. The citizens are told what it contains. The bill presented in Parliament is challenged in the Supreme Court. And then, without informing anyone, they play hide and seek at the last moment and completely change the content of the bill. Where will this end? What do we do if the same procedure is followed with the drafting of the Constitution?
මේ වැඩ පිළිවෙල දියත් කළොත් මොකද්ද කරන්නේ?
20වෙනි සංශෝධනයට විරුද්ධයි.
Those who are opposed to the 20th Amendment, be it the Lawyers Association saying that the way in which it was passed is wrong, or any other group, have they forgotten how the 18th Amendment was passed? The 18th Amendment was brought to Parliament in the morning and passed in the evening. When that amendment was put forward, no one opposed it. They did not go to court. When speaking about the 20th Amendment, it is important to remember this history. The current government does not write court decisions from temple trees. We bow down to the court.
අධිකරණයට හිස නමන
Minister S.P. Dissanayake presided over a preliminary meeting to restructure the SLFP in Anuradhapura today.
At the recent general elections, the party seniors called on the president and requested Chamal be made the prime minister candidate. The president agreed, and when we called him, Chamal also agreed. We met Mahinda Rajapaksa and he first agreed, and then he said he'll think about it. Later, he did not agree. He goes to Chamal's residence and reprimands him. It is because Mahinda Rajapaksa took over the leadership twice, we had to form a hybrid government. He lost as president. Why is he not allowing Chamal to come forward? Therefore, who has a desire to defeat the SLFP and bring one's son forward? This is the truth.
Well, the Sunday Times has reported today that the Road Development Authority has released 4 billion rupees from Expressway earnings to the Treasury to settle a portion of unpaid bills worth 6.6 billion rupees.
The report notes that it is not clear how the backlog of unpaid bills had reached 6.6 billion rupees. The article further notes that there are 3 billion rupees in payments due for widening and improvements of national highways. 600 million rupees of this work was carried out last year. 1.6 billion rupees due for road maintenance and a further 2 billion for rehabilitation and improvement of national highways funded by local banks. The Sunday Times also reports that according to official documents, the annual budget allocations for the road sector are high. However, the amount of money actually advanced fall below the promised amounts. Even in such a backdrop where plenty of unpaid bills need to be settled, the government is now taking steps to obtain a commercial loan to fund the Central Expressway. Reports indicate that the Asian Development Bank as well as JICA rejected funding the Central Expressway project due to the lack of an environmental impact assessment and the lack of a proper plan to obtain lands or resettle those affected by the project. Thereby, the government has decided to obtain money for the first phase through the Exim Bank of China. Funding from the second phase will be secured through 2 local banks, while the third phase will be funded through a loan obtained from the Tokyo Mitsubishi Bank. All these commercial loans are being taken at high interest rates with many conditions attached to them. The loans that will be obtained from the Tokyo Mitsubishi Bank will amount to $1 billion or roughly 153 billion rupees. It will include a high interest rate as well as a 10.07% insurance fee, a 1.1% arrangement fee and a 0.25% commission fee. In the end, won't the people of this country have to pay a large sum of money due to the actions of this government?
The debt burden is increasing. What is their motive? We saw in the recent past how they arranged the sale of the Hambantota port when the debt burden rose. They were handed over to foreign companies. Are we going back to where we were?
Time now for a short commercial break. We'll be back on the other side of this. Welcome back to the news. On to one of our headline-making stories tonight. Dairy farmers from Pannala, Kuliyapitiya and Katugampula have expressed frustration with law enforcement authorities for failing to apprehend a ring of cattle thieves. The farmers claim that about 500 cattle have been stolen in the recent past and have been taken to slaughterhouses.
A media briefing was held in front of a paddock yesterday seeking to highlight the increasing number of incidents of cattle theft in areas including Pannala, Kuliyapitiya and Katugampala. I earn my livelihood with my 4 cows. My entire life has collapsed around me. They have stolen all 4 cows.
We feed our children and pay for their education with the money we earned from the cows. We had a cow that yielded 22 litres of milk. They have stolen that cow too. The police are asleep. They must intervene to help the people. There are 2 ministers from the Katugampuli electorate. I do not think they are even in Sri Lanka. Why are they not looking into this?
Nama Karunaratne, the national organizer of the All Ceylon Peasants Federation, levelled accusations at Minister Sagala Ratnayaka over the inaction of law enforcement. How are they continuing this cattle theft every day? There is definitely political backing behind this. The government has failed to resolve this problem as yet. Minister Sagala Ratnayaka is in charge of the police. He must act on this matter. Following the media briefing, the dairy farmers and members of the All Ceylon Peasants Federation staged a demonstration in the Pannala town. Speaking during the demonstration, Karunaratne had this to say. The government has failed to catch any of the thieves. The dairy farmer is discarding the milk on the streets. There is no proper price for milk and the farmers are despondent. Milk is being imported. Even the cattle that is brought down is divided among themselves, claiming it is for the farmers. They are slaughtering our dairy farmers' cows. Is it possible to throw sand in the eyes of the police and steal cattle at will without political backing? We call on IGP Pujit Jayasundara as well. The thieves must be caught and punished. The government has placed an order for 3,000 dairy cows to be delivered in November. We call on the government to provide these cattle free of charge to the dairy farmers whose cows have been stolen.
On to more political news now. Former President Mahinda Rajapaksa, speaking in Tangol today, spoke on development projects conducted under his rule.
The event was organised to mark World Children's Day. During the event, gifts were presented to children and silk cloths were given to adults. The resources that were created, such as ports and airports, were done for the development of children and for a better tomorrow for them. The sale of these resources cannot be termed as simply taking revenge from the adults, but it is the children who are victims of this act. A sale and the 99-year lease are both the same. A child born today will not live for another 200 years. We must protect our resources.
The foundation stone for the 462nd model village under the Samata 7 project was placed today. The event was held under the auspices of Minister Sajith Premadasa.
The village, which will be constructed in Agbopurati Samharama, has been named Situm Setgama village. A group despises development. The defeated joint opposition, which is in a state of ruin, is conspiring to sabotage the development activities that we are carrying out. Yesterday, the placards and cutouts relating to the development projects in Tisamarama were torn down. When we inquired, it is the actions of one of the sons of the former leader. I wish to say this to Namal Baby. Come 2020, Sajith Premadasa, son of Ranasinghe Premadasa, will build 2,200 Udagamana concept villages across the country.
Welcome back to the news. On to more local news now. Lalit Veeratunga and Anusha Palpita were recently granted bail over the silk cloth case. However, what happened to the money collected by monks in order to make payments for the fine imposed on the duo? The media questioned Venerable Muruthettuwe Anandathero, who spearheaded this initiative.
I cannot give an answer now because we did not collect the money. We only supported that. We did not take leadership in that. It was led by the incumbent monk of Papiliana. If you ask him, you can find out what happened to the money collected on behalf of Lalit Veeratunga. The joint opposition supports it, but it is done by the Mahasangha. The money will be given to the Thero, who is the treasurer. There were issues over opening a bank account, but I think it is sorted now.
This is a spiritual period. So is there any norm that allows the monks to walk the streets and collect funds?
You must ask that from the monks.
Money was collected in a similar manner on a previous occasion when the security of the former president was curtailed. The money was collected to obtain private security.
We have conducted interviews, and when Mahinda Rajapaksa gives an order, we are prepared to supply the recruited security personnel.
And the fund base?
We have the funds deposited in the account at the Hatton National Bank branch in Narahimpita.
Can we know the amount?
I do not know that. I will have to inquire and then tell you.
The Sri Lankan Navy is to acquire a brand new Russian-built offshore patrol vessel, or OPV, under the Russian state credit line, as reported by today's Sunday Times. The report adds that the purchase will be made from the Russian government's military product exporter.
The acquisition will make use of a previous state credit line that was not fully utilized until 2015, when the agreement for the credit line expired. In a cabinet proposal submitted by President Maithripala Sirisena, he has said the Russian government is willing to award the balance $135 million as a new state credit for another 5 years to Sri Lanka. The Sunday Times report notes President Sirisena had in his request to cabinet mentioned the superior marine steel used by Russia and also the fact that the workmanship and technology used in this OPV are similar to that of a frigate class, highlighting the reason for the Sri Lankan Navy to recommend this acquisition.
Addressing an event in Tangaul yesterday, Prime Minister Rana Vikram Singh commented on the tourism industry in the country.
The event saw the participation of Minister of Tourism Development and Christian Religious Affairs, John Amaratunga.
Firstly, the world tourist market has changed. It is not what we had earlier of Europeans coming in here, spending a week with a travel agent, looking at some hotels and going back. More people are traveling. And remember, the whole travel market is moving from Europe to Asia, with the biggest travelers coming from China and India. If you want tourism, you must have connectivity. So we want to make Sri Lanka the hub of the Indian Ocean. We have now 3 harbours and 2 airports. Mattala, I hope the agreements will come into play by about end of the year. So what is our target? Our target has 5 million tourists. We should earn more per head from each tourist. Of them, at least 2 million must be at the upper end. So this is the target.
The 27th annual general meeting of the Sri Lanka Tea Factory Owners Association was held in Colombo yesterday. The event was graced by Ministers Mangala Samaravira and Navin Disanayaka.
Now we are at a new phase of our journey. We are in the process of creating a conducive and rules-based business atmosphere for the business community in this country. We are also currently evaluating other similar and important legal areas. In fact, I'm sorry to say that many of our legislation, and over 60% are at least 50 years old. Also, the European Union, as you know, offered or reoffered the GSP Plus facility, opening a wealthy and quality market for our exporters. And this unique opportunity provides new impetus for our tea exporters as well, who must seize it with vigor and optimism.
So I'm happy to announce that we are working with the government of Japan to give you all a loan, a very low interest loan, maybe 4 to 5%, $100 million loan coming through the state banks to modernize your factories. That will hopefully happen by December next January. Today, agriculture is not the norm. There are other areas of interest. It is not fashionable to go into agriculture. So we have to make it fashionable. We have to make it wanted to keep our tea production going.
On to some cricket news. First up, Sports Minister Sri Jayasekara has pledged us his fullest cooperation with the ICC Anti-Corruption Unit's investigation of allegations of corruption in Sri Lanka cricket.
At a recent special discussion organised by the Ministry of Sports, former Sri Lanka cricket captain and fast bowler Lasith Malinga exposed irregularities in the preparation of pitches for the recent tour by India.
During the last couple of tours, we go to the grounds and say we need this amount of grass. When we step away, they start cutting the grass and say they made a mistake with the blade. If there is someone who is capable of preparing an international level wicket and he commits a mistake regarding the blade, then I don't think he is worthy of preparing such a wicket. I speak about this when I can. It has happened twice. We are not going to say we lost just because of this. When incidents of this nature occur, it causes a collapse in cricket. The players suffer mentally. They hope that they will get what they wanted, but when we reach the ground, it's not there. We have to face such a situation when playing.
Meanwhile, appearing on a television program recently, former Sri Lanka cricketer Pramod Vikram Singh, a member of the '96 World Cup winning team, claimed that several irregularities are behind recent defeats suffered by the national cricket team. Issuing a statement yesterday, Vikram Singh called for the appointment of a presidential commission of inquiry to investigate the unnatural match patterns and player selections. Meanwhile, a letter signed by 40 cricketers, including captains Dinesh Chandimal, Upul Taranga, Angela Matthews and Rangana Herath, was submitted to the president of SLC. In the letter, the players called for a swift investigation regarding the content of the statement issued by Pramod Vikram Singh. Meanwhile, the Ceylon Today newspaper reports that the International Cricket Council's Anti-Corruption Unit has begun a probe into pitch tampering allegations revealed by fast bowler Lasith Malinga. Sri Lanka's apparent bad luck this year commenced with losing an ODI series against Zimbabwe at home, following by being whitewashed by India at home in the Test, ODI and T20 series. Sri Lanka is currently ranked 7th in the ICC's Test rankings and 8th in the ODI and T20 rankings. Newsfirst made inquiries from Sports Minister Sri Jayasekara regarding the current state of Sri Lanka cricket. In truth, there were suspicions regarding the recent tours by Zimbabwe and India. I have always maintained that the players will never do anything to betray the country. Former Test captain Arjuna Ranatunga and Pramod Vikram Singh have highlighted several points. I have appointed a separate committee to probe this. Lasith Malinga also spoke of several issues. I have acted to conduct a separate investigation into this. While this is ongoing, an international investigation board has come here. This is very important. Instead of levelling accusations at various people, we can uncover what has happened. We have all decided to cooperate with this probe. I have always said that our cricketers should not be ruined. Decisions have been made in the past regarding cricketers and other matters in the game, but nothing has come of it. For example, following the Lahore attack, there were allegations that the country had been betrayed. There have been many such incidents. We did not go behind all of this. We looked at rebuilding the team. If SLC or any players have done something wrong, then we have a responsibility to act.
The Western Province clinched victory of the 43rd National Sports Festival at the Kotavila grounds in Mathura today.
South Asian champion Gumeshika Watnaika, representing the Sabaragamuwa province, won the 100 meters women's event with a time of 11.74 seconds. However, due to an issue that arose during the event, a number of officials refused to attend the closing ceremony. South Asian champion Himasha Eshan won the men's 100 meters event in a time of 10.76 seconds. Triple jump medalist Vidusha Lakshani of the Western Province was adjudged the best female athlete of the games, while long jump gold medalist Prasad Vimalasiri of the Central Province was adjudged the best male athlete. The Central Province was adjudged the runners-up of the games, while the Western Province, that clinched 102 gold, 81 silver and 76 bronze medals, won the overall championship.
And it's time now for a report from the 5th Asian Games in Turkmenistan.
Yet another day of the 5th Asian Indo and Martial Arts Games comes to a close here in Ashgabat, Turkmenistan, as athletes from across Asia and Oceania put their best foot forward to push their countries on the medal standings.
The spectators in the main indoor arena and the Olympic complex cheered their players on as the qualifying rounds of the wrestling competition got underway today. Thenora Kodikaragi of Sri Lanka was defeated by Saparmeradav Sarkeldi 10-0 in the men's freestyle 74 kg final bout of 55. Asha Hiripurege was defeated by her Indonesian opponent Shinthia Eka Adfenda 6-0 in the women's freestyle 48 kg bout of 77 in the qualifying rounds today. Charles Fernando's relentless efforts to ensure a place in the semi-finals was also proved futile when he was defeated by Zhu Wanhao of China by 11-0. Tomorrow, on day 7 of the Games, Sri Lanka's Ushan Vidana will square off in the decisive men's 105 kg Group A weightlifting competition. Reporting for the Newsfirst team from Ashgabat, Turkmenistan, this is Stephanie Lazarus.
Well, that's a wrap for tonight. For the Newsfirst team, I'm Ramesh Bandara. Good night.